Blade, Laser, Blazer. Welcome in to the Bro 4 Squad podcast, where we are just a bunch of bros drinking beer and talking movies. This is episode 200. Take that, Dad. And I am your host, the Mayor, Jeff Hornacek. Thank you guys so much for checking us out for a very special episode of our podcast and for some special movie discussion. Before we get started with the festivities, let's go around and meet the fellow bros. We begin in the lab with the mad scientist, Brian Banner. Banner, over the past 200 episodes, what kind of upgrades have you made to the lab? Obviously, you have taken a lot of money from the Bro 4 Squad account, so I just want to see, is it being put to good use?
I mean, my fridge that is within reaching distance of my chair always has beer in it. So that's where most of the money is gone.
But you drink?
Only on days in NY.
What a relief. Next, we go in the paint to our enforcer, Matt Geiger. Now, Geiger, 200 episodes, 200 fights. That was your goal coming in, if I remember correctly. So, as our enforcer, 6+ years later, have we hit the over or the under on that?
We hit the over. My last fight was with my doctor, similar to Banner, when he asked, do you have more than 3 drinks per week? And I'm just like, let's just skip that fucking question. Come on, it's fucking what's wrong?
I want someone to be honest with the doctor, like, per week, bro. Like, if you knew what I do to my body on a regular basis, you would be appalled and shocked.
I say, Matt, well, I'm a podcast, so I'm like, what does that have to do with anything?
Matt,
everything.
Matt, now that your son is like a few years away from the age of playing Little League, I think we need to double the over-under on fights per year.
Get kicked out of fucking game.
Well, if this strike zone was bigger than a fucking nickel, maybe we wouldn't have an issue. Next, we go to our legal counsel, Ronnie Cycli. Cycli, this is actually true, we have not been sued or received a cease and desist from any major movie studio since like
on wood.
Episode 115. So I got to ask, are you getting bored over there?
Yeah, I mean, come on. I really thought signing up with you guys that there was going to be a lot of shit going on nonstop. But I honestly am a little disappointed. Banner, with you especially. I thought we'd have cops called on you like every other day.
Yeah, I'm as baffled as you.
Well, Matt's also a biter, so I thought that would come back to literally bite us.
Damn it.
I think it was at MGM was the last one that tried it, and then you sent them that very...
Word got around. MGM told the other studios.
Well, I'm pretty sure we got hit by all the major ones, like Disney included, didn't we? Like,
MGM's like, call the dogs off.
I just love that not to say I'm not the best lawyer of all time, but there's like some like legal intern who sends these things to us. And I'm like, the second I send just anything that seems reasonable, he's like, oh, fuck.
He probably ran up the flagpole, and let's be honest, we were making like $4 a year at the time. The studio was like, who gives a fuck, dude? Just let them post our blank check movie commentary.
I love how during that process when they try and get us for copyright, that part of the process is somebody has to review our video, and there's always a new fan every time we get sued. So we're losing that opportunity.
Yeah, maybe I should actually like tone it back a little bit so we get more viewers that way.
Especially if they listen to like our Wonder Woman movie commentary. They're like, look, we're actually withdrawing the lawsuit, but you say some fucked up stuff.
Or Get Out. Like, how have we not been canceled?
We probably have. It's just we are not big enough to even notice.
I know.
All right, well, here on the Bro 4 Squad, we begin every episode with the most important thing in any bro's life, and that is chest day. And as you could tell by the title of this episode, 200 times we have got together to record an episode of the Bro 4 Squad movie podcast. It's been 6 years. We've done 200 episodes, 161 movie commentary tracks, 115 movie reviews, and by my count, 12.8 thousand beers. So, thought we would take tonight.
Did you carry the one?
Oh, no, I didn't.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Yeah, that changes things. So we're going to go around and mention just some favorite moments from the pod. I wrote down a lot, so as you guys claim some of these, I'll just delete them from my list. But I thought it would be fun just to revisit some of the best memories from 6+ years and 200 episodes of the Bro Force Squad podcast, and then also give people, if you're listening to this now, number one, I hope everything's all right at home, but number two, maybe give people some good recommendations of things to go back and listen to that we've done that just made us laugh and that we think would be a good taste of the Bro Force Squad. So, Geiger, let's start with you. What is one of your favorite memories from 200+ episodes?
So whenever you start, I guess, a business or not even a business, it would have to be a podcast, something on YouTube that you document everything. You really see how people grow. Not that we've grown or gotten better or anything, but you see how they progress. Be like, you know what, that idea didn't work. That idea didn't work. Well, a long time ago, we thought that we wanted to get into the news breaking game. And we thought,
so exhausting.
We got to fucking stop everything we're doing and pod about it. And that's, so Banner and I have kids. We didn't, I know I didn't. I don't think
I didn't at that point either.
Because we're all about, dude, we got nothing else to do. When something breaks, let's do it. And that's when the Matt Reeves DC, like Affleck was directing a Batman movie. And they're like, no, Reeves is, no, Matt Reeves is out. No, Matt Reeves is in and Affleck's starring. No, Affleck's out. And then after about the second one, we're like, all right, like, this just isn't going to be us. Like, fuck this. Because we do it that night, or we get together to pod. We still have wives. Then we'd be like, hey, we got to pod again because this just broke. Imagine having to do that now with DC's fucking tangled up fucking mess where they don't even know if Black Adam's getting another movie, if Cavill's back, if he's in, if he's going to Marvel, if he's going to X-Men. Like, it'd be a fucking disaster. Cheers to those guys. You there's no way you get laid. There's no way you have any family that remotely cares about you if you're in the news breaking game.
I want to say we titled one episode like Ben Affleck to direct Batman, and then we did like an emergency pod, and the next episode was called like Forget Everything We Just Said.
And
like I think that was only the title of it.
We weren't even done editing a couple of them. We're like, dude, no one's going to listen to this because this is old news because it happened yesterday. And I was like, this was just a waste of fucking time.
Yeah.
So live and learn. You kind of know where your strengths are, but we're like, okay, the news breaking game, people care enough and like, our opinions enough. They'll wait, a couple days to hear about it, but we're not going to break any news.
And also it took us a while kind of on that same point to where we were just mainly focused on like comic book movies, and then we realized like, yeah, we get kind of sick of just talking about those specifically. But I think that was a pretty quick pivot. I don't remember exactly when.
Yeah.
You guys remember when we used to do a sports episode?
That was a different podcast, dude.
Oh fuck.
Remember the
Was it
other
really?
name? Yeah.
I totally forgot.
It was Olympics, wasn't it?
I think so. I don't even want to promote
so.
the name of the podcast because remember those people actually did sue us. Or tried
And
to.
I never got a chance to counteract that.
Oh, you would have
I'm talking
destroyed them.
I'm
They
talking
had
about how
no chance.
Tanner got on the pod because me and Jeff just wanted to do a review on Suicide Squad, the original one. That's another fucking thing. But because we hate it so much. And then we were like, oh, this is kind of fun. And then Jeff's like, hey, do you care if I do another pod with my friend Brian about the Olympics? I'm like, I don't give a fuck about the Olympics. And then they're like, I never met Brian. We probably did about, I'm not kidding, probably 50 podcasts together.
Probably.
Maybe.
If not more. Well,
Face to
we
face.
also did all of Comic Book Movie Madness before I actually met you in person.
Yeah. It's insane.
Good shit.
Yeah, Manti Te'o, Linnea Kakua story. For sure.
Except this one ends
But
slightly
she's a
less.
big fan of the pod. She's been on a lot of times. Let's not,
Yeah, we actually looked like what we did on pod.
Camrad's a couple 100 pounds. What's that? All right, Cycling, how about you? What's a memory you have from the podcast?
Yeah, so I mean, joking aside, we kind of mentioned the cease and desist from the former name of the pod, and Brian and I were playing soccer all the time back then, before kids, and back when we didn't drink as. Actually, no, we drank just as much. Never mind. And you guys had started this. And we always talked about it, and I was laughing. I was like, hey, whenever you guys, he talked about the commentaries, and Jeff, you and I would talk about it. I was like, love the podcast, but fuck, whenever you guys do Mighty Ducks, you got to have me on. I was like, you got to, like, we've all been friends for forever. I was like, you got to have me on for Mighty Ducks. And so that was, I think that was my first time.
We still haven't done the original.
Right, which is
Have we not?
I don't think
maybe we did.
I know we started with D2, and I know we did D3. Because my
we've
mind
done-
was
yeah.
fucking
No,
blown.
you're right. We have. Sorry, we have.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Go ahead, Matt.
We've done the original.
Yeah, we did it. I just have our YouTube
Next
channel pulled
question.
up.
I want it.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't even know if I was on it at this point. It was done April of 2021.
It's just the movie in the background. None of us are on it. But like, I mean, I have a lot of, so like, Jeff, you talked about us having a couple memories. So I have a few of these, but a lot of my memories and favorite moments are from these commentaries. And for me, the Mighty Duck one stands out because it was my first time with you guys. But at the same time, we just got so obliterated. And Brian, the obsession we got throughout the movie, the second and the third one. I don't know if we did them the same night, but the obsession we got with specific, things going on in the film that were just
the Hans Jans debate.
The Hans Jans.
Still don't understand it.
The Iceland chick, the dating, the like Gordon, all of the Gordon.
Was the
Bombay
Mighty
stuff.
Ducks dorms on campus?
Yeah, the third one. It was.
I don't understand. Is it a boarding school or not?
I think we still don't even know. And for me, it was just the intent of that, I think, and what we've tried to accomplish. It's funny hearing Matt go first and talk about like, oh, maybe there was some like ideas, do a news podcast, do breaking this, do that. And that was the moment it was kind of like, guys, you know what? We're all moving different directions in life. We're all in different areas. Like for me, it was like, this is a great way where we can just bro out, hang out, drink beer, watch these movies, be stupid. And you know what? If no one wants to watch it, fuck it. And if people do want to watch it, then awesome. Like people are watching this shit with us.
Yeah, if we had zero listeners, I would still do the podcast.
Yeah. And so for me, like, I mean, again, we can talk more memories later of other things, but that set the tone of like what this podcast was to me and why I've enjoyed it.
Yeah. I think it took us maybe about half a year to a full year to actually figure out like, all right, what's our niche related to movies? And then once we found that, it was like, all right, we can lock in on this and maybe put out better content. Brian, how about you?
So mine is, I'm going to go behind the scenes a little bit and explain to them what our 1 year anniversary was. That was the very first annual Bro Force Squad weekend. I don't remember it. I think in a day and a half, we had like Friday night, Saturday, and then we planned on doing one Sunday, but that just wasn't going to happen. I think we did 8 movie commentaries. Out of those 8, we had 3 survive that actually made it to YouTube.
Well, I'll just jump in real quick because one of my memories was the Lost Home Alone movie commentary where I remember Matt basically being like the replay official, listening to like 5 minutes of it, and he goes, "We need to fucking burn this tape. We are so drunk, we can't get a goddamn word out."
I think I went off on the uncle. Like, went off in a really bad ways.
Like, it wasn't like our 8th one of the day or anything. It was like our second we did.
It was, I remember we were getting through the opening credits, and Chris Columbus's name came up, and we just fucking lost it. Because obviously he liked the Explorer.
Oh, him.
We didn't check our mic. Me and Banner had an IPA breakfast, and my mic sounded great. Banner sounded like he was doing the commentary from like 2 rooms down.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think we sexual early though with the uncle. Like he got incestuous.
What? I don't.
The picture and Cycly was so fucking high. We've all done this before. But he's just sitting next to me with his legs crossed, watching the movie, and I kept looking like, "Are you gonna fucking talk or anything?"
No. That was Back to the Future.
That was Back to the Future.
Yeah, Back to the Future. Yeah.
Well, I think we had to burn that one too.
We did not do that one either.
I think an hour and 15 minutes in the movie, I was like, "This is a great movie," and Brian's like, "Are you gonna say anything?" Or I'm like, "Wait, what? Oh, fuck."
So high.
Hey, no judgment here.
It's a good movie, man.
That was a great weekend. Banner, thanks for hosting, by the way.
Yeah, no, it was great. That was the first weekend. That was the first time me and Matt ever met in person. So that was fucking awesome. I literally did what like they tell you not to do on the internet. Meet somebody on the internet and then invite them to your house. Like 8 out of 10 times. That's a serial killer.
You've never followed the rules though. That's not who you are.
Matt's like, do you want to pod first and then I'll murder you and make a lampshade out of your skin, or do you want to reverse the order of that?
I don't know. I mean,
How much?
lampshade would be nice.
Now every other one, I don't think we always check mics first.
Yes.
Like
we learned a lot that weekend. But kind of like what you were saying, Cycly, that was my like pivot moment of, okay, I'm not doing this to try and make a bunch of money or get famous or whatever. I'm doing this because this is my weekly excuse to go to the bar with my buddies without actually having to go to the bar.
Right.
Yeah.
To give people a sense more behind the curtain of the business side of this, if you have a podcast,
It fucking sucks.
that was our year party. It's probably a little after a year, maybe like a year and a week or something. And it was the first time we ever had a fucking video that was like actually getting watched. It was the Pirates of the Caribbean something.
Oh, yeah.
The
Couldn't
fifth
tell the
one.
like I remember.
Yeah.
But it was like literally every time we checked it, it was another 400, 500 views. And we're like, shit, this is at 10,000 views. Like, I think we had maybe a couple that were over 1,000. So just to give you a peek on how long it took.
It's a grind.
And I don't know why that one fucking caught fire. And then we would do some and we think, man, this is going to be awesome. And it sucked. And then you look at it in 6 months, you're like, shit, somehow this gained like 20,000 views. We didn't even know. So it took a year for us to even. So I remember looking at it on Banner's pool table. We're like, fuck, dude. Like, people are still watching. This is awesome.
Yeah. So if you're out there starting a YouTube channel, again, the one thing we can say is just stick with it, man. Keep grinding. All right, I have two. One that I mean, it was a great moment, but I would never do it again. And then the other one, because I want to toss it right over to Matt, because I actually think this was his idea or something that he said on pod. The first one, so every year we do a Movie Madness tournament around March, same time as the NCAA tournament, where we create a bracket of something around the world of movies. And the first year that we ever did this, 2016? We did a 64 comic book movie madness tournament. So like 64 movies based on IP from comic books. And in hindsight, it's cool to look at the bracket, listen to all the episodes debating this, but it was a fucking gargantuan task to take on.
Never again.
I thought
Never.
And then after we got the Sweet 16, we're like, let's get this fucking over with.
Yeah. I thought it might end the pod, but
Wouldn't have came up with our 5 criteria if it wasn't for it.
very true.
So
It's true.
I always wonder when we judge a movie on the 5 criteria, we actually came up with that just to try to judge these movies equally. And if anything, that came up with that because now every review you listen to, it does have a skeleton to it. Like we might go off on a tangent, but you know what to expect when you listen to movie review. Because I listen to a lot of movie reviews, not saying that we do it better than anybody else, but sometimes
we do.
But sometimes I'm like, damn, dude, like, you know, this one movie review you did well. This one, you just talked about the first half hour of the movie for like fucking 20 minutes. You didn't say anything.
Yeah, people have said they do appreciate how we have a bit of like a structure to it. And it's kind of unique too, because we talk about, you know, the impact of the movie and stuff. So again, each year now you'll notice the tournament is no more than usually 16 entrants, no matter what it is. But 64 was, our eyes were just way bigger than our stomach back when we did that. But
We were so young and innocent.
Full of life.
1,064 comic book movies came out, so we'd have to redo the whole fucking thing again.
Yeah, that's true. We could probably do one just with like almost 64 movies since that happened, I would guess.
Probably pretty damn close.
Since 2016, there's been 64 comic book movies come out.
Probably, man, in 7 years or 6.5 years. All right, and then another one, and now I'm getting into moments of like specific things said on pod that are great and worth the listen. If you go back and listen to our Empire Strikes Back movie commentary, there's a moment. This is one that was interesting because I remember like we did it on a Tuesday night. I was like laying on my couch and the energy slowly started to pick up as we were just like, dude, we got something special going on right here. And at a certain point, I believe like 40 minutes in, when we were like all 2 or 3 beers deep and just really our fastball was just easy gas coming out of our hand. Matt brought up the idea that the Empire, to raise morale after the first Death Star was destroyed, should do like a company golf scramble for everyone to participate in. And that took over probably the next 35 minutes of the podcast.
Like longest putt wins like light training from a Jedi or
Like
something.
parking actually in the Death Star instead
Did
of
we?
like.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Did we also cover like a sequel to that when we did Rogue One?
We did.
Was there?
Yeah, I
That
think
basically
we talked about like the pairings and
Yeah, like we got really detailed. Like this idea rolled through, which I love. Like it wasn't just a
talking
one-time-
about talking about what's a gimme to the Emperor.
right. Oh come on, you're going to make me put that really?
Misty.
Palpatine at 6 feet. I mean,
And Palpatine, like he doesn't hit very far. Of course, he hits off the forward tees, but his short game's really good. But Vader's like a fucking bomber off the tees, dude.
I remember you
Yeah,
had a
because he's
Palpatine-
avoiding the sand traps. He hates sand.
Oh, that's
He
true.
hates- It's cool.
Matt, you had a quote for Palpatine. You go, "I'm not long, but I'm straight off the tee."
Yes. He got really into it, and then every single time we did a fucking Star Wars movie, even if like the Sith wasn't in it, we'd find like a way to fucking tournament thing.
Yeah, it was pretty good. And then we would say they had like a closest to the pin, and it's like, did Vader actually move his ball by using the Force? There's like a lot of debate about that. How dare you accuse me of that just to win a koozie? So, Empire Strikes Back movie commentary, and then, like Cycly mentioned, the follow-up to the Empire's Golf Scramble on Rogue One. All right, Matt, back to you.
Once again, like the business side of it, especially our episodes, because we know people like the movie commentary, especially depending on what movie. And then, like Jeff said, sometimes we'll just get in a groove, and a lot of times we don't even know what we said. Like if you ask us after movie commentary if it was great or not, there's a couple that were like, that was pretty fucking good. And there's some that I don't even know, and I'll listen back. I'm like, man, that's really fucking funny. But the episodes, it was really hard to see, like, okay, what do people want? Like, they want, like, current events. Jeff came up with the thing, like, what we're watching lately that people dug. But then, once again, like, our highest episode was Catch Me If You Can versus 8 Mile. And we're like, we're just dealing with some sick fucking people here. Like, who the hell would be fucking searching for that? Like, okay, the Red Power Ranger be better than fucking Chuck Liddell? Like, what does that even fucking mean?
Right.
Probably take Chuck Liddell.
No way.
Power Ranger has the Megazord power.
It's insane for you to
I
say
don't
that,
know.
Brian.
I don't
Are
know.
you high? Don't answer
But-
that. I know you
Well,
are.
why were we comparing those movies? Was that a movie?
I think though, like,
So what
let's
kind
be
of-
honest for a second. That creates a niche market. There's people who are weird like us who love
Yeah.
these kind of conversations. Like no one else is providing that kind of
I
content.
guess if I was drunk or something, YouTube that came up. I was like, dude, I want to see how this podcast. Like, how are these things? Like, how are these?
This is
So just
when-
to refresh it, sorry, real quick, Manor. This was episode 89. It was a bro v bro where we pit two movies against each other using the aforementioned 5 criteria. And it's called episode 89, 8 Mile versus Catch Me If You Can, and movies we can't like, where I think we talked about movies that like are popular and we just like can't get into it. And as of now, it has 73.9 thousand views.
Yeah, man. See,
I don't
but
know.
using our kind of criteria, if you're a movie, we can fucking put any movie up against each other.
Yeah.
and
haven't
if
done
you
one of
got
those
suggestions, give them to us.
But like it's like the idea that we, again, we're every bro at the bar with their friends talking about movies, right? Like
Absolutely.
the joke that every Leonardo DiCaprio movie is connected. Right? Like I mean, these are things people joke about, like no one actually takes seriously. You know what? Why not fucking drink with us and have these stupid ass conversations?
I think that's one thing we've always prided ourselves on is we're not like the movie critics or the guys that like want to be filmmakers or went to film school. We're you. We don't know what the fuck we're
Yeah.
talking about a lot of times, but that's never stopped.
And we're gonna be inaccurate too.
Next
Like,
Pro Force Squad weekend, when we go to a bar, we need to actually video and just each of us need to go up to two fucking bros at the bar, and be like, hey, what was a better movie, Catch Me If You Can or 8 Mile, and just see what they fucking say.
Yeah.
'Cause I was like, what?
you're
But
gonna
everyone
break
would
up
have an
friendships.
We probably would. Like, you actually fucking think 8 Miles better?
There's no way.
I can't believe I made you best man at my wedding and godfather to my
Like, but 8
son.
Mile has a fucking soundtrack to it.
We're not talking soundtracks, Trevor. All right, Cycly, how about you?
Okay, so I gotta again keeping with the theme for me. I like that Matt kept his theme of the business side. I'll keep my theme of the commentaries. One of my favorites, and the only thing that holds us back is the length. Guys, the Titanic one. I mean, we were Titanic for a movie that's over 3 hours. Like
We were in the
we
zone.
kept that energy. and that was we just go off on Cal and
Defend Cal.
Jack.
Our Monday night football game. We knew we were in prime time.
We were. It's
Like, we
hard
were
to
up-
like. It's like it's so funny because I'm like I want to tell everyone to listen to this, but I'm like, dude, that's a chore. It's over 3 hours.
I don't know, go like an hour in because the
Yeah.
energy again, we just get stronger as we go. It's like a pitcher in the playoffs. It's just
The
like,
way when we're in that groove and we're feeling it like that, the way I describe it is we're like the movie that you're like, oh, I'll watch till the next commercial, and then you find yourself watching through the commercials because you're like, fuck, this is just a ton of fun.
Yeah, I think that's what the funny thing is. Like, I remember going to Titanic kind of nervous. Like, sometimes, like, you're like, dude, that's a 3-hour movie. Like, it's a lot to, like, okay, we'll drink and have a good time. But, like, at some point, our mind is going to shift. And it really didn't, which was surprising to me. Obviously, we've done that a ton with Star Wars, but there's a big difference. There's like an hour difference, kind of culturally different. But I think that shows, again, kind of like the mentality we have with this pod is like, we're just like, we're going to take something like Titanic and just go take it seriously. Like, as stupid as it is, we're going to.
And we did offer like some decent, I feel like, movie takes, but it's probably like 25%.
Like some of these movies were like, oh, there's some of them like Logan. I know that last scene we were like really serious and stuff. We're not.
Yeah.
No, I think the Titanic one, we were on point. Like, I'm not joking. I mean, yeah, we said some funny things. Like Rogue One and like you said, Empire, we go nuts. But like Titanic, we were like raising points about the movie, which in fun ways. So yeah, I love that. And I miss the days of, things have changed. People have moved, like me, and people have kids and stuff. But yeah, getting together for those commentaries, like Brian and I used to, those were some just fun. Like, I'm like, hey, I'm heading over there on Tuesday night. Like, I know what we're about to get up to.
Yeah, I think I want to go back and re-listen to the Titanic one because that was awesome. And it's like something, your mental fortitude when you go in knowing like, all right, we got to hold up for 3 hours, and then 2 hours in, you're almost like, oh, does this have to end?
I always think about what it would have been like because me and Jeff worked together started in 2012. And it wasn't until we weren't even working together until we came up with this pod. Like, what would have happened if we would have had this idea when we were working? Because we were both single.
I mean,
dangerous.
We could have done a lot more of it.
Nothing we would have fucking done this every fucking night, done a movie commentary or something. Because we were also living a block away from each other.
I know. We would have just done Saturdays where all we did was 3 or 4. We've done a few Saturdays where we've done 2 or 3, which are really fun.
The Saturdays are my favorite when you start at noon. You get that day drinking buzz and shit. Because then, if you have something to do that night, I mean, you can kind of fake it that you're not that hammered, but you get to go to bed at a decent hour and you feel great the next day.
We did a double bill once. I don't know when they released, but we did Angels in the Outfield, and we did one other movie that day. Do you guys remember?
What was it? Was it Rookie of the Year?
Was it maybe one of the Ninja Turtles movies? I don't know.
I can't remember.
What did you say?
I don't even remember the end of Angels in the... No, it was Point Break.
It's Point Break.
Ah, wow, what a fucking double bill. Yeah, that was a good one. All
right,
Banner.
Tecate, a 12-pack of Tecate right across from my apartment and starting drinking at 11 a.m. I'm just like, this is going to be fun.
Ben, didn't we randomly decide we wanted to do Secret of the Ooze that night also?
That sounds right.
Maybe.
We all went out and did something, and we all came back and we're like, I'm not ready to stop.
Yeah, it's I think I got one more inning in me. Send me back out there. All right, I got one more, but Banner, what do you have else to share?
Just like I kind of said a minute ago, this is so much fun for me because it is going to the bar with my buddies, having some beers and just hanging out. But I don't have to plan it out. I don't actually go anywhere. It gives me an opportunity.
Cost us anything.
Yeah, and it gives me an opportunity to have more family time, but also I get that bro time, that fun friend time. And everybody that listens, I am glad that you like to sit here and make fun of me or you like what I say, because I don't even know what I say.
But it's genius a lot of time. Real quick, Banner, let me give you a plug. and I know Matt appreciates this one. The editing job that you did, and just the creative genius that you and Matt came up with for the intro to your and Matt's War for the Planet of the Apes review. I almost don't want to tell people what it is because I just want them to go back and find it. But it involves two of the most ridiculous pictures of monkeys I've ever seen and some very well-timed subtitles.
Yeah, I put a little work into that one, but you know, when you see a project that can be very successful, you got to see it through. You got to put the time in.
I feel like you were like James Cameron editing it. Like, it's not done, damn it. Like, James, we need the premiere is here. Like, you have to let it go. Like, it's never going to be perfect.
Most of those early ones were done at like 2 a.m. After we did several commentaries and like it has to load and do all this shit. It was, yeah. How we can do it now is much, much easier.
I know a lot of people will ask, like, especially the comments, they're like, oh, do you script the movie commentaries? Or, you know, I don't ever remember any of us, Thurman included, being like, I'm like, hey, Cycly, for this movie commentary, I got this joke about claw in the pink, 2 in the pink, claw in the stink. You got to set me up for it. No one ever does
Got
that.
you, bro.
I don't just come up with fucking shit on the top of our head. I don't ever remember anyone be like, hey, guy, you got to set me up for this joke. I got something really funny to say about it. And
The only thing that we ever prepare going in, and by we, I mean is Jeff, and that's just fun facts. And that's done about 30 seconds before we hit the record button.
Right.
That's
Sometimes.
called Google or IMDb.
we don't even know what questions Jeff's going to ask us or the host's going to ask us when they like go out. And the behind the scenes stuff, you should see, like, you know, just like the Planet of the Apes thing. I remember where I was at. I was in my garage. I called Banner like, hey, I got an idea for an intro. And then Banner's like, oh, we should do this too. And me and Jeff at the pool, when we came up with that commercial or the trailer for
The trailer.
Air
One
Force
Stu-
1, 2.
we all have like the same you know, attitude toward everything. So like Jeff will say, hey, I got this idea for this. I'm like, we should do this too. And then before you know it, all of us are combining and we're like, okay, this is fucking great. The Broskers are a perfect thing for that. It's like a joint thing that we all just kind of put our shit into.
Yeah, creatively, we're like a more talented Beatles. Like, we're more talented than the Beatles, is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Which means we're bigger than
Thurman
Jesus.
wouldn't know that though, right? Because he hates the Beatles.
right. Thurman's the guy who got replaced with Ringo, who then became like a carpenter's like, you know, I really don't think that I missed out on much, you know? Would have
And I
changed.
don't like British, but I like the Beatles.
So that, the fact that Matt will cross the picket line for them was really... All right, last one I had, and Cycly, I'm sure this is a big one for you. This is more of a serious one, but Cycly and I had the opportunity to interview the writer and director of the movie The Velocipaster. His name is Brendan Steer. Now, if you have not seen The Velocipaster, I urge you to go check it out. This was episode 105. Cycly and I also did a movie commentary on it. And it's the most ridiculous but also genius comedy movie of all time.
The internet loves it, by the way. This
Oh,
isn't
yeah.
like just obscure. Like, the internet loves this.
Yeah. And Brendan is just like the coolest dude. He was so gracious with his time. In fact, a little too gracious, if Cycly, you want to tell the anecdote about what happened because our interview with him ran a little longer than he was.
He had like you might remember the exact details, but he was giving like
He had a screening.
screening and talking at a screening in LA. And he missed it because of our podcast.
He kept saying like, no, man, I'm good to keep talking. I think
We're like, are
expecting-"
you sure? We booked 30 minutes with you. And he was like, yeah, or whatever.
And he messages the next day. He's like, yeah, I fucked up. I missed my own screening.
There was like hundreds of people there.
I was like, that's so bro. But he's the coolest fucking dude. A sequel has been greenlit recently. He just secured funding for it. So hopefully we
it's
can
a
have him-
trilogy.
Oh, really? Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And I mean that in the best way possible. Hopefully we can get him back on, because if any one of these ever has a theatrical release, Brendan knows we were like in there. We were like the ground floor when this was going on. He was just awesome to talk to, and for us to secure interviews, it was pretty rare and fun.
Yeah,
What'd
it's
you say,
worth
Matt?
a watch.
I said it'd be cool if he invited you guys to the premiere of the second one.
Yeah,
We
well,
should reach out.
We should reach out. I don't know what the production status is. I know I saw a tweet that he posted like a few months back, or maybe like a year, where he had finished the script, and then he secured funding pretty recently. Which big congrats to him.
He did say on our pod that he had the 3 movies and like the idea. You know, like he released some information on the pod. It's worth a listen if you're into the Velocipaster world.
We had some like really interesting questions about that movie, and he was game to answer all of them. Like the casting, the best part is how he actually got the idea for the film. It was an autocorrect on his phone. He was trying to write Velociraptor, and for some reason it wrote Velocipaster, and he goes, "That would be a fucking hilarious movie."
I always said that he enacted something we've all acted like we wanted to do sometime. Like we were like, "Oh, dude, this will be hilarious to make a movie about." Of course, we never do it. He actually did.
Right, he has the
Stupidest
balls
thing.
to like put pen to paper and then actually get funding
It
and make
filmed
this-
in Hungary or something too. Like, I mean,
There's some crazy stories about that thing. So episode 105, and actually 5 days before that, we dropped our movie commentary for the Velocipaster, which I believe we did blind, right? Meaning we hadn't watched it.
yes,
before.
yeah, knew nothing.
Genius. By genius, I mean the idea of the Velocipaster and the trilogy. Suki Bracefield. All right, anything else? You guys ready to move on to Protein Shake? Any closing thoughts about 200 episodes?
Thank you.
Thanks. Keep listening.
Yes, both of those things.
Yeah, we need more beer. So the more you
Or
listen, the
like
more
at
beer.
least just like hit play on your computer and then leave
Yeah,
like
walk
overnight. Walk
Who
away.
cares?
That is just as good.
Leave it
Honestly,
plugged
probably
in.
better.
That way, if your computer dies in the middle of the night, we don't have to worry about that. It'll just give us the play minutes.
I mean, it's better because then we don't have to worry about like appeasing people. Like, dude, just do us a favor.
Yeah, then we know you won't have any issues with what we're saying because you're not actually listening to us. All right, second part of our show, Protein Shake, where we go around and talk about what is in our cup, also known as what have we watched lately. I'm really only going to talk about 2 things, but I have seen a lot of shit in theaters. But who wants to go first?
I can go first.
All right, Banner, what have you seen lately?
So I don't even remember why, but something happened, and I'm blanking on what it was now. But I realized that I haven't seen a single Sean Connery 007 movie. I've
What
never.
the fuck?
Cycling's rolling over in his grave.
I know.
right now.
I
What
know.
the hell?
And I said there is something wrong with that. Like I've
Oof.
seen the Pierce Brosnan ones, maybe a couple of the Daniel Craig ones. Never been a big James Bond guy, if I'm going to be honest with you. But I said, all right, I got to bite the bullet here. I got to do this. So I started at the beginning with Dr. No.
Wow.
Are these on
I-
HBO Max?
They are not all of them, but
I know,
I think
which
there's
I was-
like 12, 15.
They were missing a lot of them because I went back through. I wanted to watch some of the newer Daniel Craig ones, and they only had like 2. I think Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace.
I haven't made it that far yet. I've done Dr. No, You Only Live Twice, and I'm almost done with Thunderball.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, Thunderball and From Russia with Love are probably 2 of his best.
From Russia with
many-
Love isn't on HBO Max as of
That's so
this
stupid.
recording.
That's insane.
But I loved Dr. No. I thought it was awesome. It was, I see the appeal. You Only Live Twice was a little long for me. I really liked it. I enjoyed it, but you can tell they had a lot more funding because the fight scenes were much more ridiculous and just really drawn out. Giant set pieces.
Ooh.
It was great.
How many chicks does James Bond bang in the 2 films combined?
Probably
Isn't
6.
it 3 per? Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Fuck
it's
yeah.
yeah.
Isn't it one rando at the beginning, the bad girl halfway through, and the good girl at the end?
Yep.
Usually.
But he has to bang the bad girl, Cycling.
Yeah, of
I think he-
course. You
I think he
have
wants
to.
to.
There's an SNL skit about James Bond going to the doctor and having like literally every STD. It's actually really hilarious. It's from the 90s, but it's great.
Interesting.
But yeah, so I'm on a James Bond crusade.
So Banner, are you going through? So I've mentioned this on the pod before. My dad, like I was raised like my dad and my mom's first date was a James Bond movie. Like, this, my dad's favorite, film series of all time. So I was raised on James Bond. Are you trying to watch it in order? Are you going to Roger Moore next? Like,
Yeah, so I'm doing it
Okay.
and I'm trying to do it as close to the release order as I can.
okay. So I'm interested in your take. So what I love, and I even though you're watching this now 50 years later, right? Like,
Right.
you're going back to the OGs, and obviously times have changed. There's a disconnect of what Sean Connery was versus like what like Roger Moore was, and the way the films are made. So I'm interested and I'm excited to hear how you feel about like why I consider Sean Connery the best, clearly, versus what they
He
did
is
with it.
from what little I have seen of the others, he is the smoothest talking one.
Oh yeah,
Like the charm is on even when he's trying to pull it back. I mean, he's got all the charisma. And that, in my opinion, is what makes James Bond. I think some of the other ones try and get more actiony and, fighting and stuff, but that to me is not who James Bond is.
100%.
How many of them are based on books? I know
the
Casino
Sean
Royale.
Connery ones. Well, Casino Royale technically should have been the first one, and there was a Casino Royale movie,
But it's
done
like
in,
a
the
parody,
50s.
movie, right?
Yeah. So most of the Sean Connerys were books, and I don't hold me to this. I don't know about the Roger Moores, but at some point then it starts changing.
Banner, you have to report back. Let us know.
I will. You guys know I love series and multiple stuff that build on each other. And I thought, how have I not explored this yet?
Yeah, it's kind of a gap in my filmography too. I haven't seen any of the ones I think from. I've seen like 2 of the Connery ones, but I definitely don't really remember them that well. Matt, how about you? What's in your cup?
All right, I finally got around to watching Black Adam.
Oh,
All right,
I haven't seen it. Has anyone here seen it except Matt?
No, I saw what everybody was saying and was like, yeah, I have limited time that I can spend on watching stuff, and I don't want to waste that time.
What was everyone saying? That was awful.
Yeah. Which means you loved it.
No, I don't know. Okay, 40 minutes in, I had to just turn it off and watch something else. And then an hour later, I got back into it because I really had to ask myself, does this movie suck? Or is it because I've just seen it a million times? Yeah. When you think about it, 80% of the superheroes, 80% of their story is like kind of the same.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But we've seen this so fucking much. The Rock is The Rock. He'll always be seen as The Rock. He's always casted as The Rock. So it's hard to really take him seriously in a superhero role. It's such a fucking niche comic that, the villains, you don't really have any. It's not like a Spider-Man movie or a Batman, like, oh my God, did you see who they got, to play the Penguin or Mr. Freeze? Like, you don't know any of these fucking villains.
Yeah.
And the problem with DC is that, I guess it's not a bad thing, but their after credit scenes are really fucking good. Just like after Justice League and Manganiello showed up, and we're like, holy shit, that's awesome.
Forgot about
but the
that.
problem is that when you leave the theater, you're like, well, that movie was maybe a C-, but the after credit scene was awesome. It was like, but all they make is C- movies, so why do you think that the next movie on the after credit scene is going to be any better? I would love to see a Man of Steel 2. I've said that before, that they rushed Batman vs. Superman. But happening in the Rockverse that they're talking about is basically just going to be Black Adam that really no one gives a fuck about. Let's just be honest. We want to see a really good Batman trilogy, and Superman. Black Adam is like Ant-Man, in the DC. Like, he shows up, he doesn't even really need his own fucking movie. But I don't really have a problem with James Gunn changing everything, but I just don't know. I don't know why they just don't start off with like Michael Keaton as Batman and just do like a Robin storyline or a Teen Titans never seen before. And it sucks because, like, I have a kid, Banner has a kid. I want to take him to some of these movies, but some of this is so watered down. Like Black Adam, was tough for me to get through. It's because I've like already seen this. I've already know what's gonna happen. Like, who cares?
And I kind of feel, I mean, I understand that they were produced and made before James Gunn and Peter Safran actually got control of the DC, like tentpole films. But like, I kind of feel the same way about the Shazam sequel coming out. Like, I feel bad to say this, but it's just like, who is this for? Really?
Who cares?
I don't even think they know.
Not really. The other thing too is that the way that The Rock, and this is like part of why you bring him in, but like the way he marketed the film was like he was going to be the head of the DC EU now, and like there's a new sheriff in town, and then the movie does like okay financially, but then James Gunn takes over, and it's like, all right, so literally all of that shit too now is just you blowing hot air. Like nothing's going to happen with it.
Which they did to The Rock, the most powerful man in Hollywood. He put it on his Zoa energy drinks. He was, of course, all over Instagram with it. And then you just kick him off like that. Like,
yeah.
I mean, as an actor, that would really show me something that I'm like, dude, do I really want to fucking sign up for this shit? I mean, obviously you do because you make a lot of money. But you just know, like, it's got to be an actor that really probably just wants to do 1 or 2 films. I feel really bad for Cavill. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
Right.
I thought he was a phenomenal Superman. The problem is I don't think he had the time to have his character developed because we're like, okay, you got one movie. Now we're just going to force feed all these other heroes and villains in and give you nothing to do.
Yeah, the timing of all that, I think, was really bad too because they were trying to keep up with the success that Marvel was having, but Marvel had 8 years on them.
Yeah, that's always their problem. But now Marvel is, Marvel. I mean, they're still running like, was it Phase 4 now? But DC needs to make good films.
That is true. I'll just piggyback off that because speaking of Marvel, Phase 5 started with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Saw it in theaters. I am on record as the Marvel guy not liking Phase 4 at all. I think outside of Wakanda Forever and WandaVision, there's really not much. I guess Hawkeye was solid, but I did not like a lot of it. I hated some of it. But Phase 5, big ambitions of the multiverse saga, mainly because of the rumors of all the actors that are coming back to fight Kang in the Avengers, the Kang Dynasty. And I'll say this, Jonathan Majors in this movie is giving a performance that is well above and beyond what this script is allowing him to do, which is impressive. Ultimately, too much CGI. It doesn't really let Ant-Man be or play to his strengths. But the end credit scene and some of the things it leads to does have me pretty excited for the future. So all in all, I will say not a total fuck up.
So Jonathan Majors is Kang.
He is, yes.
And it's not like Thanos where they waited. They just basically threw him in an Ant-Man movie, and now he's going to.
Yes, I don't want to spoil it for anyone else out there that maybe hasn't seen it, but he did show up in something else in a pretty prominent role prior to this as well. And I don't mean it's not like a cameo, right, Brian? It's like
I would say he is a full-on character in that entity.
He probably has 15 minutes of straight dialogue in it, explaining.
Oh yeah, he's got an incredible monologue in it.
Yeah,
it's so interesting with Marvel that I think some people like me that I'm like, okay, it was a fun ride, and then after Endgame, like, okay, it's over, right? Then they keep going. I'm like, I'm not invested in Ant-Man. I'm not
right.
Wakanda Forever. I'm like, man, without him there, I'm not really invested in that either. So,
yeah, they're definitely, if they can see it through with this much patience, because Phase 4 really only had 3 properties that kind of tied into the multiverse saga and Kang, and if they can continue this slow burn, because the way Quantumania ends is it's really just the tip of the iceberg for Kang, it'll be great. But as long as they don't put the carriage in front of the horse. One last thing I'll say before I toss it over to Cycly. He and I did a review for Knock at the Cabin, the M. Night Shyamalan movie. So go check that out to see our thoughts. Cycly, do you want to tease anything about what we thought of the film? We're kind of, I wouldn't say we're M. Night stans, but I think we're, especially on this podcast, going all the way back to Split. We've, for the most part, been defenders of him.
Yeah, I think if you, like us, give M. Night a chance every single year and a half, like, he's always enough for intrigue and conversation, and that's what we provide, I think, in our commentary, just like we do with old. There's something to be said whether you like it or not, and that's
Yeah.
what M Night provides. So I've always said this, in a world of we were just talking about superhero movies repeating themselves. In a world of that, I don't mind an M Night Shyamalan movie every year and a half that at least is doing something new.
I'm always excited when I think I said this on the review, when he announces a new project, just to hear like the concept of it. Like,
I was gonna say he is really good at coming up with great ideas. I would say he is average at seeing those through into good properties.
He's not a good writer / I mean,
I would put him in the George Lucas bucket.
Yeah, that's fine.
Great ideas, don't do a whole lot else very well.
And not to get into our Knock at the Cabin review, but what I will say is he is notorious for not being just like George Lucas, a good acting director.
That's probably his biggest weakness, is he gets bad performances.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll leave it at that. I was going to mention that. Glad you did. I'll also save this just because I know you're watching this and Nate Thurman is watching this, so I know we're going to kind of culminate into the season finale here in a couple of weeks of Last of Us.
Mm-hmm.
I am caught up.
Me too.
You are caught up.
I am
watching this.
Banner, you're not part of the group chat. Oh, buddy, we didn't know.
We literally got caught up last night.
Okay. Well,
Matt, are you watching Last of Us?
No.
Okay. Well, you should.
Well, he is an HBO head, so I didn't know if he was fucking with this one yet.
So I won't go too much into detail with it. All I'll say is this is the best show on TV at this moment. I didn't play the game. Jeff, you didn't play the game. Nate didn't play the game. Brian, did you play the game?
No.
Yeah.
I knew it was a game, but I'd never played it.
Yeah. I say I never had a PlayStation, so that's why I didn't play it. But like, I'm glad I didn't at this point in the series. I'm not going to give any spoilers because this is not a Last of Us discussion, but I have no idea what's going on. I have no idea what's going to happen. I'm really glad. Those who played the game know I'm enjoying the show. I think it's better than it should be. It's better than a zombie show should be. And the character development and the acting is fantastic. So unless you guys have something to say, I'll leave it at that.
No, I agree. The only thing I'll echo, I'm glad I didn't play the game because I have no fucking idea where it's going to go. And then I don't have some expectation of like how certain characters should be portrayed to where I'm like, excuse me, that's not actually what he does in the game.
Banner,
if you got offended by that impression out there, that's because that's you.
Exactly.
No, I echo everything that Jeff just said, and I haven't played this specific game, but I've played games that have been made by the same company and similar games, and at times the way that they filmed it feels like a video game. And then you can see at certain points, you're like, okay, I can see how they took the action of killing these zombies in a game and translated that to the screen. And I thought they've done it really well. It's kind of a nod to, hey, remember, this is based on a video game, which is just a ridiculous idea to begin with, like to even say. And then for them to execute it and say, yes, that's just a nod, but this is really the story, and to keep everything moving forward.
But I love it's the Chernobyl people. Oh, sorry, Jeff.
Well, no, I was going to say, I'm assuming, are they using the same score at least? Because that would be cool as the video game.
I have no idea.
I don't know. That's a great question. Yeah.
Comment below if you know. But I was going to say, once I saw it was like the Chernobyl people, and Jeff, you and I talked about Chernobyl, that's obviously one true story, one fiction, but the character development, the acting on painful experiences, I think they put it in really good hands. Like, again, I'm going to stick by this. This show has no right being this good.
Yep, it's better than it
does not need to be this good. But yeah, so I'll mention. I mean, are we going to round robin? Because I have others.
Yeah, we can do one more each. Although, real quick, Matt, I want to ask you, Bella Ramsey, the main girl from this, do you remember her from Game of Thrones? I don't know if you can like look up her picture.
She was a badass little girl that stood up for the North in the 8th season.
Okay, well, Cycling knows her then.
Well,
yeah, I was reminding you.
Dude, I don't think she's that good in The Last of Us. And I was wondering, like, if people liked her from Game of Thrones or not. But like, she's fine, but she's definitely for me the weakest part of the show.
People loved her in Game of Thrones.
Really?
She was like this badass. Now, her American accent, that's the thing. I think where you're probably coming in. She's not American, so it is interesting.
Yeah, and they give her like her dialogue is like really like
Video game-ish.
Well, yeah, she has to come across as like really smarmy and like sarcastic, and that can be sometimes tough to do with an accent, to know like where your inflection points are, and like I don't know. She's just been a little like uneven for me, but Pedro Pascal's been awesome.
Yeah.
Is there
About
anybody
him.
as red hot as him right now?
No,
He's like Hansel.
So hot.
So all right, it's like what else?
He has some SNL skit.
Oh my god, his SNL turn was hilarious.
So funny.
Let's put a pin in that.
And I won't take too much time on this because I think we're going to cover it in a month from now. But season 4, part 1.
We're about to watch
finished.
the last part here. Right
Okay, so I won't go into detail. They're clearly, all I'll say is I think they're clearly trying for a different formula to keep it fresh. Not sure. I'm not going to say how I feel about it. I'll wait for that conversation with you. They're trying something different, and we'll see how it works out. It does seem like the show's losing a little bit of what its intent was, but that also makes sense at the same time. They can't just be doing with their same thing they're doing over and over. The main thing I want to talk about was I watched Creep 1 and 2 over the weekend. And guys, I didn't know anything. I don't know if Jeff, you and I talked about this. My wife sent me one of those Instagram reels that was like 5 horror/thriller underrated films on Netflix you can watch right now. And, we're always looking for something new to watch. And Creep 1 was listed on there. I had never heard of it. And
now, I haven't seen Creep in like 10 years. But correct me if I'm wrong. Is the premise of it someone puts out like a Craigslist ad for someone to come film them doing something?
Yeah.
And he goes out to like this guy's cabin, some videographer.
That's exactly right.
The guy's just like super weird.
Yeah, and it's funny enough, it's like Mark Duplass, who I only knew from The League. Right? Like,
did you guys watch The League? Matt, did you watch The League?
I watched The League, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can't. It's so weird seeing him. I was like, "That's the League guy."
He's so fucking goofy in that show.
Yeah,
I mean, they all are, but like, he has like this perpetual like confused face that he makes.
Yeah, and he is goofy in this film series, albeit creepily, right? Like, it is found footage. I won't go too much in detail. I don't want to give anything away. One of the pro points of both films is the first one's an hour 15 minutes. The second one is an hour 20. So. Nice. Wow. Super easy watches.
Combined less than Titanic.
Yeah, exactly. They're all, both movies have 2 or 3 characters each. There's not much depth to it in terms of outside of that. Guys, I really like these films. The second one might be better than the first one. The first one, they both have like 70-80% on Rotten Tomatoes, and IMDb, they're both in the 7 range, I think, or 6 upper 6s. Shockingly, these movies they're good. I mean, again, for the runtime, for what you're expecting out of it, for Mark Duplass, or however you say his last name.
Yeah.
They're fun. They're fun movies. The second one takes into the mind of a killer's psyche. Like it's cool to see him. I mean, how many horror movies do you get to just like delve deep into the killer's mind for the entirety of the film? Both of them are found footage. Both of them are being filmed by videographers, documentary filmmakers that don't know what they're getting into. It's an interesting concept of human trust, human belief in each other, plays on our fears and emotions. I'm not saying these movies deserve awards. I'm just saying I think they're really fun movies for an hour 15 minutes.
Are they both on Netflix?
They are both on Netflix. Yeah. I think
have to rewatch
there's going to be a trilogy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Is TLC going to star in it? It's called Creep.
Well, unfortunately, Left Eye won't be a part of it, so.
Why not?
Oh, rest in peace.
After like years.
We can't like Tarkin her, like CGI or anything.
Yeah, we can.
Sure could.
All right, I do want to go revisit these. I remember so little about the first Creep, except that I liked it, that I almost need to just rewatch it all again.
They're not overly scary. Like they're not gory.
They're just
I mean
tense, if
that.
I remember right.
They're just tense, and you just know this guy is just fucking around. Like that's all you know. Like he's just messing with people. He has a little power. He's hiring these people to film him for a couple hours, and I'm glad I discovered him.
Nothing wrong with that. All right, Matt, you got anything else?
I'll hold off since I got a bunch of movies to talk about in the third one.
Oh, that's right. Banner, how about you?
No, I'm good till next episode.
All right, let me just get. All right, one thing I want to talk about. No, never mind. I'll talk about that one next time you and I are on.
No, you can't do that.
Well, I was going to
No,
talk
we're-
about Star Wars: The Clone Wars, the animated series, but I think Banner and
We
I-
don't have time for that.
Yeah, we don't. So let me just say this: I saw the movie Missing in theaters, the spiritual sequel to Searching. It's a Screen Life movie, which is basically like what they're calling the genre of film, where it's like all told from like either a laptop screen or sometimes like phone screens, which I think Cycling and I both agree. I just fucking love how creative that is as like a way to tell a story. Missing was awesome. It's already got a Oscar nom for 2023. If you liked Searching with John Cho from a few years ago, you'll love this. It's quick, it's kinetic, and also it shows you how, like, guys, I don't know how anyone's going to get away with murder anymore because everything we do is fucking tracked. Like the ways that this girl tracks, the plot is a girl's mom goes out of town for the weekend with her boyfriend and she never comes back. And her daughter uses basically all the technology on her laptop to track her mom's whereabouts and figure out what happened. And it's just wild. Like the things
That
we
shit makes me feel dumb because I wouldn't even know where to start.
Yeah, she does some shit on it that's like, I don't know. She just makes it look really fucking easy. It's just really interesting. The theater that I was in, there's twists and turns. Everybody was like,
Delete your history in case your wife starts looking at your laptop.
yeah, that's what you need to do.
Off core, I don't know.
The main guy in it, I think he's in Lost. He was also in the first Saw movie, and he was in Old. Can't think of his name. Like Brian Liu or something like that. He's really good. He pops up in a lot of stuff. And I really liked Missing. I like Screen Life movie. I'm trying to think if there's a Screen Life movie I've seen that I didn't like. Because I like both of the Unfriendeds. I love Searching.
Unfriended 2 might be better.
Oh, Unfriended 2 is incredible. Actually, it's Unfriended Dark Web. Yeah, I know there's some out there like, squeeze me. So, Missing, go check it out. Lots of twists and turns, quick runtime. And again, if you're thinking of getting away with murder, it's not going to happen.
Oh, he wasn't Lost.
What's his name?
Ken Lung.
Ken Lung, that's right.
Almost.
Yeah, he pops up in a bunch of shit, and you're like, oh, yeah, him.
He didn't come into Lost until about the third or fourth season. Yeah.
Although, cycling, I will say, in Old, I felt like he gave the worst performance.
Well, again, we can go back to our M. Night conversation. Who is that really? Is it M. Night? Is it him? Scripts? We'll never know.
Bit of both.
Part of his twist.
All right, Banner, do you have anything else? You done?
Nope, I'm done.
All right, that brings us to the
Did you guys hear that?
I did, yes.
Oh.
That parakeet noise signals our "Do you even lift bruh?" segment, the question and answer part of our podcast,
Still
where we pose a question that we leave you people with. The question this week, as it has been for probably about the last 40 or 50 episodes, what are the Bros' top 100 movies of all time? There is a link in the description for this episode taking you to our website where you can find the Google Sheets as we are counting down each of our top 100 movies of all time. Before we dive into it, we're going to start with Geiger giving us his number 59 movie of all time, clocking in just ahead of The Terminator at number 60. But Banner, why don't you tell the people what these lists are? Because, as we always say, they're not the AFI Film Institute's 100 greatest pieces of cinema. They're a little more specific to us.
Yeah, this is my top 100. There are movies on this list that have zero right to be here. But they mean something to me, whether it's something nostalgia or the mood I was in that day. I think Geiger had one clocked in the mid 80s maybe, and he was like, it was just a great day, and I watched that movie and I'll never forget that day.
Yeah.
That is what makes these lists so unique to us, and it's very hard to do, very hard to go back and figure out which movie you like more.
Like, let me just show you how different each of our lists are at number 60. So Geiger had, of course, the James Cameron classic Terminator. Cycly had a very poignant documentary called Dear Zachary, A Letter to a Son about his father. Banner had John Wick Chapter 2, and I had Office Christmas Party. So there you go. Kind of all over the map. So
if you need 4 movies to watch this weekend, there you go. You're welcome.
That's an odd
Or you
quadruple
cannot be more different from those films.
Yeah, it'll really fucking confuse you. So, all right, Geiger, you're number 59. What is just ahead of the James Cameron sci-fi classic Terminator?
Well, if I do 59 and 58,
Yeah, go for it. Actually, you can go all the way to 57 because then
I'll just
that's
do
what
59, 58, and throw it to somebody else. My number 59 is Jurassic Park.
Wow.
Okay.
I wasn't big, like,
I've never seen Brian angrier.
It's on the list, man.
No, I'm happy.
I wasn't huge in this movie like some kids were. I'll admit that. But I'll tell you, man, rewatching it now, I think I give it a lot more props than I did as a kid. I wasn't like a huge dinosaur head or anything, but this is a great movie. It's a movie of the 90s. I don't want to say the technology still holds up, but it's still watchable. It's not like, holy shit, these like look totally fucking fake. They actually do look pretty cool. The story was awesome. It led to 2 like kind of, in my opinion, crappy sequels, but it was cool. Like the original thought, like, you know, what if we had basically a kind of Walt Disneyland of fucking dinosaurs, and who would have thought the dinosaurs would have fucking just taken over and, you know, killed a lot of the people. So
Now, you also love Jurassic World, right? I think because of how well it pairs with Jurassic Park.
Thanks, Jeff. Number 58. Jurassic World.
It's literally your next one?
Oh my god.
Because I want to prove to all these Jurassic Park heads that Jurassic World is a phenomenally better movie.
I'm done. I'm done, Brian. I don't know about you, but I'm done.
Why? And then I'll let you. I'm glad that you two are on this pod now today when I'm doing this, because I was like, man, Banner needs to be on this when I drop this fucking truth bomb on his ass. So,
I don't.
And if it was
save my
Jurassic
thoughts.
World, if it was not for Jurassic World, we wouldn't have had Ghostbusters Afterlife. We wouldn't have had Top Gun 2. Taking from these movies, it wasn't a totally new thing, but taking from a movie that was a classic and then basically sequeling it or rebooting it was very fucking hard to do. Most of the time it fell flat on its face. Now, they didn't bring back the old actors. They did that, you know, in the later ones of the Jurassic World. But when the park was open, was way fucking cooler to watch, a better story than them just trying to get the park open, in my opinion. And this is my list, so you guys are wrong.
It was an interesting idea because you're right. We never got to see the park opened, and even though people died, if there was money to be made, they definitely would have tried it again.
I mean, people died in boxing, and they're still boxing. You know, Damar Hamlin almost died in the football field. They play the next fucking week. So I understand that, but what was cool is just like, it wasn't like the park just opened. It's been open for a while, and no one gave a fuck. They had to like keep coming up with like different types of dinosaurs to get people fucking in there. But you guys can say what you want now, but I thought whenever I saw them, like, this is a way fucking better movie than Jurassic Park.
I think way better is a little bit of a stretch. I respect the fact that you believe it is a better movie. I respect that. Way better. I mean, come on.
I don't.
Stay in your lane.
I guess it just depends how much you want to weigh in, like, the impact of Jurassic Park. Because if someone like came out of a time capsule or they were like frozen in ice and just watched both of them in a vacuum, I mean, I could see them maybe thinking Jurassic World is better.
I compare it to Star Wars to The Empire Strikes Back. Star Wars is awesome, but The Empire Strikes Back is a better fucking movie.
No, you're taking the side of Phantom Menace over Empire Strikes Back right now. What are you fucking talking about?
Because he might agree.
You're not. Do not say that Empire Strikes Back is Jurassic World. Like in no way, shape, or form.
I'm comparing it because Jurassic Park isn't anywhere close to any of the Star Wars movies.
Oh my god!
But I would say it's something that we've never seen before. But Jurassic World is a far better movie, better story, better action, better everything.
I'm not even as big as a stan as Brian, and I'm like, my blood is boiling, so I can only imagine if Brian's
I like
right
it,
now.
man.
I love
I'm
this
just-
conversation.
I'm
by
just-
the way,
I'm
this is
just
what the
hurt
podcast
is
is.
all.
I
Just
closely like this is disgusting.
You're lucky Brian is a lover and smoking pot. Like that's why you're lucky right now. Because if he was
Brian-
drinking whiskey right now, it would be
Brian-
bad.
Brian's gonna be lying in bed tonight. His wife's gonna be like, "What's wrong, honey?" He's like, "I just Matt like Jurassic World better than and I like how you put it one ahead to really make a fucking point."
But the thing is, I did that on purpose. But the thing is, that's because it reminds you of your childhood.
Sure.
Is that why you like it better? Because
Yeah.
you did that when you saw it.
I'm gonna save all of my thoughts because shocker, it's coming up in my list. Moving from what are we on 56 on? It's somewhere in the top 56.
I would be surprised though, Banner, if we see this one anytime soon on your list.
Yeah, we all know it's your number one. So what are you even talking about?
I don't know that.
Just shit
Oh,
on
we
it.
know it.
Fifth one of the franchise is better.
The fifth one, no, that one is awful. Don't even get me started.
Fifth
What
one.
did I mean, the next two sequels sucked. So then it would be Jurassic World with the fourth.
Now Lost World has a great first and second act. I don't know if there's a movie that falls on its face more than that going into the third act.
Didn't get a ring. You got to put in a whole movie.
How do
I
you
know.
defend Bryce Dallas Howard like running away from the T-Rex in high heels at like 18 miles an hour?
I mean, she's hot in that movie.
That's that's true. So she can't
Return
hurt that
serve
guy.
cycle, yeah.
Damn it! I can't.
Got David
It's
Wallace
a
in it.
return ace.
All right, so Geiger, we'll come right back to you because we're up to your number 57. So the rest of us have just done our 57th, so I'll let a few of them do their 56th. Cycle, let's start with you. Your number 57 movie of all time was Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. So what is number 56 of all time on your list?
Oh, I wasn't prepared. I mean, I am.
I can go to Banner if you want.
No, it's fine. I will scroll up on my number 56 is one of the original Pixar's Toy Story.
I've heard of it.
Yeah. I think the combination of this was a film, I mean, everyone has to love. I'm not know where it is on everyone's list, but either way, it's a film that was monumental in our childhood. But also it was probably the first film that really was drew the line into like original Disney movies to Pixar. Like what that did for our youth, right? Like what we expected out of these Disney films and what Pixar provided. It was completely new to us. I think it's kind of gotten overshadowed by obviously the Toy Stories have consistently put out good movies. Pixar has consistently put out good movies. But what Toy Story was originally, before we knew any of that, and all we had to compare was Aladdin, Lion King, Little Mermaid, right? Like, I don't know. It's Toy Story just holds up completely to this day. It doesn't feel like it's aged at all.
The
Looks great
animation,
still.
you see that animation still today. Like nothing has changed.
Yeah,
You can tell that something changed from the 60s when you have Cinderella and Snow White, which was like the fucking 20s or whatever, to now. Like you could see that change, or up until like Lion King, Little Mermaid, all of those.
Yep.
Now less or more time has passed and it's still the same.
Yeah, I mean, you can credit that to Pixar. I mean, Tom Hanks, Tim Allen, who, very huge in the 90s. Tom Hanks continually so. Voice acting. I think the 90s, we've talked about this on pod before. Voice acting really did change in the 90s, where it didn't used to be about who starred in the role,
Mhm.
right? Like that was one of the things Robin Williams was mad about in Aladdin. He didn't want it to be about him being the genie. He wanted the genie to be the genie. We really saw
Well,
that.
you gave
change.
too good a performance, Robin. Sorry.
Yeah, well, but really though, like it wasn't about who was. I mean, it's completely different now. Now you get the biggest stars to be in animated films, and that like 2 or 3 year period between Aladdin and Toy Story really changed it, Lion King included. So,
Yeah, Lion
I,
King's cast is incredible.
yeah, and so Toy Story. I mean, the story is perfect. Like I said, it hasn't aged. I mean, I just don't know what else to say about it that everyone doesn't know already. I don't know how you guys feel about it. It is just timeless. It's a beautiful film. Um, that I don't
Sid
think,
is great.
and honestly, you can argue that Sid is a victim in himself, right? Like he doesn't know he's hurting these sentient beings, right? But like I love the dialogue
Not that it would
creates.
stop him.
No,
I
but
would say Toy Story is one of the most creative. Like I get it, like a not Disney movie, Pixar or whatever, but one of those movies I've ever seen. Just
Oh yeah.
just the way kids play. Like it doesn't have to be.
yes,
It doesn't have to be a wrestling toy to fight John Cena in a steel cage. Like
Right.
that's the way kids like they mix up all their toys and stuff, and they create it like, oh well, I don't have like a bank robber, so I'm just gonna have Mr. Potato Head do it.
yeah,
And it was
That's
it
a
was
really good point, actually. I didn't
Yeah.
even think of that. When I saw it, it immediately made me want to go home and play with my toys.
Yeah. Me and my sister, and Jeff, I think you know the story. My middle sister and I, we put like Matt just said, we put all our toys together. And we, as kids do, we called them the people. Like, right, it was my Power Rangers toys, it was Legos, it was
Hmm.
little Disney, it was everything. And we called them the people. Right? Like, and what I love about Toy Story is when you're a kid, that's literally what you imagine. Like that's literally what you thought as a kid, like your toys were up to.
Yeah.
And it's just so like perfect. Like it's something that Banner and Matt can show their children, and we all can show our future children or whatever. And it's just like it doesn't stop. Like that movie does not like decay with time. So yeah, I love this film.
time,
It
which
is-
is hilarious.
Oh yeah. It's on my list still to come, so I don't want to say too much about it. Save a little in the tank, but great pick. All right, Banner, what is your number 56 movie of all time? Your number 57 was National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
This one is Avengers Endgame. Just what it was able to sum up the culmination of everything that happened before it, and just to get that many people to buy into the same idea and to pull it off was incredible. Obviously, what it did for cinema, it's never been done before. I don't know that it'll ever really be replicated again. I know they're trying, but yeah, there's not much you could say. It was a great fucking movie, and it did a fantastic job of summing up a very long, well thought out storyline.
Yep. Never seen it. No, I'm just kidding. It is also on my list, so I don't want to.
Yeah, we're gonna unfortunately, as we get here, we're gonna be getting to a lot of duplicate movies just in different places.
Right. It will be interesting at the end. I want to see what movie is collectively the highest rated. Like has basically like I guess the lowest score.
Average.
If that
Yeah.
makes sense. Yeah. Of all of our films. All right, I guess I'll do mine, and then we'll turn it over. Geiger can close us out with two. So, sort of in the vein of his last two being Jurassic Park movies, my number 57 was Step Brothers, which I know is a movie Geiger and I habitually quote. And I think as time has gone on, Derek has actually become my favorite character over anyone else in the movie.
Please give the history of that film to us, though.
But you and me?
Yeah.
How we almost walked out of the theater because
How much we hated that film.
it was just
now
not
it is in your
working.
top 55. Yeah, 56.
It was not working, and then I've gone back and revisited it, and it's almost like drinking whiskey after like your palate has matured. I'm like, oh, I get it now. But
You two didn't like it?
no, we
we hated it.
almost left. Yeah,
Really? Wow.
We thought it was so stupid. We were like, dude, this is so just Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly just fucking around, not giving a care. Did they even read a script? And
Yeah.
lo and
But
behold,
then-
look at it.
Next time I saw it though, Matt, as you know, it just like a switch like flipped in my head, and I was like, okay, I get it now.
God, I mean, I thought it was a masterpiece when I first saw it. I was like, that's when that stick. Keep going. Sorry, but that's when that stick was red hot with them. Now it's kind of getting.
Right. Yeah. It hadn't gotten old to me yet. I don't know. I don't think I know I didn't appreciate its genius at the time, but maybe Cyclone just weren't in the right headspace for it when we saw
I
it.
think we were, yeah, I don't break it down, but like, yeah, we were, I think at that point expecting more after watching like Wedding Crashers and Anchorman, where there was like a story, like, going on. Step Brothers, like, you got to throw it all out, right? And just let them
Right.
be them and just fuck around. And I'm the same way.
That's what's
grown
hilarious
so
is, yeah,
much.
there is literally no plot. It's just like an idea of a comedic setting. So one ahead of that on my list is also a classic comedy, and that is Dodgeball, a true underdog story. And this was the quote I led with off the top. We can all agree, I think, that Ben Stiller's turn as White Goodman, clearly based off his character from Heavyweights, is just absolutely incredible. The game of dodgeball obviously is something everyone knows, but this is like an absurdist look at it. There's some incredible cameos in it. Jason Bateman specifically is the color commentator on ESPN The Ocho at the end. And then Vince Vaughn, I think the reason he's so good in this is he's always hilarious as like the dry guy. I don't want to say he's the straight man, but like when he's the angry person in a room full of like psycho people, that's where he works best. And that could no more be the case than Peter LaFleur in Dodgeball. And not every side character works. Like when I go back and watch it, I'm like, Steve the Pirate's kind of fucking stupid. But
Justin Long gets on my nerves too.
Who does?
Justin Long.
Yeah.
Gets on my nerves.
Yeah, but
Like
that's
this-
because he's Justin Long in everything.
But Rip
Yeah.
Torn is fucking hilarious. The Lance Armstrong scene, I think, is even funnier now in a weird way with the context that we have at the airport. So it's just great. And this is another one that, like, anytime, like Banner was saying, anytime it's on TV or anything, I'll have to watch till at least the next commercial. And I'm kind of glad there's been a lot of rumors that there was a sequel idea they were kicking around. I don't really want them to try again.
No.
Let's leave this be. All right, Geiger, take us home with 57 and 56 on your list.
All right, 57. This should be way higher on my list. And sometimes I think we bury some of the movies that are on our top 100. But this movie gets worse each time I watch it, and it just keeps sliding down. But that's Deadpool.
Mhm.
I love Deadpool. But once again, with the Will Ferrell, John C. Reilly kind of taking off Jeff, Ryan Reynolds' stick is just getting really fucking old to me.
Yeah.
Like it's over. When I first saw Deadpool, I'm like, dude, this is cool. This is awesome. But now it's like, hey, me and my wife are quirky, and we're gonna do commercials, and we're gonna do Instagram stuff, and everything is like I'm the guy on waiting. He is our Chevy Chase, and if you don't know anything about Chevy Chase, ask your parents. But he was the it guy coming out. He was only on Saturday Night Live for like a year. He did Caddyshack, of course, all the Vacations, and then his stick just got old. We're like, dude, we've seen this a million times. You're the quirky guy that's kind of on drugs. Ryan Reynolds is that guy, and I'm just I don't want to see another Deadpool movie. I don't know about you all. I mean, Deadpool 2 was fine. The first one was, I think, one of the best superhero movies I've ever seen. It made our Final Four on the Comic Book Movie Madness. But the more I watch it, I'm like, this is just Ryan Reynolds doing his fucking shtick that I've seen now that he has a stupid-ass soccer team and, all this stuff. And he has his little tequila that he does that he shoves down my throat on Instagram.
And Mint Mobile, he does that.
And I was a huge Ryan Reynolds fan, but I'm like, dude, you should be Bradley Cooper now and doing like Oscar stuff, but you're not because you're not that talented, I guess, or you just want to be that funny stick guy. But I'm sorry, I just buried a movie in my top 100. It's phenomenal. I love Deadpool.
Well, I've done the same.
No, but I agree. It is hard to go back and watch it under the original context. But I remember when we first saw this in theaters, and like you said, how well it did in our Comic Movie Madness tournament. It was like a game changer, like a low-budget, rated-R superhero movie where Ryan Reynolds is breaking the fourth wall and being like self-referential. I mean, even in the second one, there actually is a really funny line where someone makes this really threatening remark to him, and he goes, "God, that's dark. Are you sure you're not from the DC universe?" And so, like, he still has some good one-liners here and there, but I agree. I think it's like the persona of Ryan Reynolds has kind of watered down this movie. But looking at it again in a vacuum, what it was at the time.
I want my Wolverine to be badass, and he's like, "Hey, Hugh, let's do this sticky stuff where you're Wolverine and I'm Deadpool." I'm like, just leave that alone. Just let Hugh be the badass Wolverine. We don't need to bring him in.
And the way that he went out, I don't want him back.
No, he
Matt,
went out perfect. Leave him.
How I'm feeling right now is after what you said about Jurassic Park, how disappointed I was. Then you say this, and you totally redeem yourself. Fuck.
That's awesome.
I'm so like I'm a huge soccer guy, as you guys know on the pod. The Ryan Reynolds shtick is so fucking irritating,
Yeah.
and it's just like I'm not saying like I haven't found him hilarious. I love Deadpool too. I'm so glad you said this. Do something different at some point. He used to, dude. Ryan Reynolds used to do semi-different things in the mid 2000s. Like he just has found this role, and that's it.
Do you think it's a case where Hollywood is telling him like people don't want to see you do that?
I don't.
No,
I think
because now he's not
content.
even in Hollywood. He's like a owner of a soccer team.
Yeah, he's Seth Rogen, right? Like, I mean, all Seth Rogen does is play himself over and over. I'm not saying sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes it does. James Franco and Jonah Hill, like Jonah Hill at least has like done some different things, but like some guys just take advantage of it, and then like eventually it runs out.
I think Ryan Reynolds did see in comics though. He's like, dude, I am Deadpool, which I agree with him. He is.
Yeah,
But
I don't think there's anybody else that could have played him.
I and I'm glad that he kept pushing for them to make the film. It was phenomenal. But now it's like him and his wife stuff, and then girls are like, "Oh, I want a relationship like that." I'm like, dude, this is all for fucking show. It drives me fucking nuts. Divorce in 10 years.
Fake.
I'm like, I'm so sick of it.
It kind of reminds me, and Cycle will know this reference. Like, actually, I think you guys have all seen this one. Have you seen the Sarcastaball episode of South Park, where like Randy just can't stop being sarcastic?
Yeah.
That's almost like Ryan Reynolds. He's like, I can't stop being the smarmy, like wink and nod at the camera person to still be funny. And like now he's like too far down the rabbit hole to even stop.
So that was my 57th favorite movie of all time. That we just
That's why I love this list.
All right, so Matt, close us out with number 56.
That's on Thursday. Friends and family only. Open casket. So what are it? 56 is John Grisham's The Time to Kill. Basically his Kill a Mockingbird. Talk about a fucking phenomenal cast. McConaughey is just like a newbie. I mean, he fresh out of what? Angels in the Outfield, Days Confused. No one knew that he had this fucking in him, and he just takes the lead. He's like basically the 90s Atticus Finch, I believe is his name, To Kill a Mockingbird. Samuel L. Jackson, Kevin Spacey. I mean, he's a fucking weirdo, but he's a phenomenal actor. Sandra Bullock's in it. I mean, just a phenomenal movie too. I mean, of all the, this doesn't even. Correct me if I'm wrong. I should know this, but I don't think it even really takes place during the civil rights era. It's supposed to take place in like present day, because I know McConaughey, like I think, was wearing like a Motley Crue T-shirt.
Yeah, I think it took place in like the 80s.
Yeah, 80s. Yeah, like late 80s.
Yeah,
I mean, it came out in 95, I believe. So it wasn't during the civil rights time, which a lot of movies, Mississippi Burning, Ghost of Mississippi, all this stuff did. So it was kind of a new take on it. Obviously, there's still racism definitely down in the South Mississippi. And I think one of the greatest lawyer scenes ever, whenever he tells the story and then she's like, imagine she's white. Because the whole time you're just imagining, because you already seen the scene at the very first scene of the black girl getting captured by the white guys. And you're like, oh yeah, that changes fucking everything. It's just skin color. But that catapulted McConaughey into be like, dude, this guy has fucking Oscar material. He's not just kind of a goofy, pretty boy.
Right. I don't know. Donald and Kiefer Sutherland are in it, but it doesn't look like they play father and son in the cast list.
No, they don't. So Donald Sutherland is the drunk lawyer that is like McConaughey. Like,
oh yeah. Okay.
Kiefer is the older brother to the redneck guy that rapes the daughter that got shot. So he's at the trial all the time. And then he's the one that actually gets the Ku Klux Klan, which is another fucking phenomenal scene. Whenever they're picketing outside of the courthouse and the Klan starts fucking marching out, because I want to be careful how I say this. The Klan and the Nazis I've always been fascinated with. I don't agree with them.
No, that's fine. Yeah,
I'm just saying, like, just how
trying to understand their thought process.
To understand their thought process and how there's that many people and how they gain power. Like how
did this make people believe
this is a good idea. Maybe we should do this.
Well, there's a reason like I can't remember what movie it is, but like talks about like Nazis in general, like why there's always going to be World War II movies and why there isn't World War I movies. Like Nazis just make so fabulous villains.
It's scary how it took over like countries.
Yeah.
Like I mean, it was that always fascinated me when I learned about it in history. I was a big fan of history in school, and I'm just like, that fascinates me how you can get a vast majority of the population, which isn't really true. A lot of the population just have to go with it because if not, it would have been punished or maybe killed or something.
Mhm.
But it's just fascinating to me how I'm just like, man, that there's that many people that thought, man, this is a good idea. Let's roll. Let's just roll with this.
Insane.
Am I wrong? You guys correct me. I agree with you. I think this is a phenomenal film. I wrote about it a little bit in the squad blog.
Oh yeah,
Is
for
this
lawyer
completely underrated and not talked about? Right?
I
Like
think
I
so.
don't feel like A Time to Kill is ever mentioned. I just don't. I mean,
what was the
am I
Edward
making that
Norton
up?
movie that came out around the same time with Richard?
American History X.
No. The
Oh,
courtroom drama.
Oh, I love Primal Fear.
Yeah, when did that come out?
Oh, at 96?
Yeah, same exact year. So I feel like
okay.
this was in the 90s. Like we saw the same thing with like Deep Impact and Armageddon, and I think there's even another one, Deep Blue Sea.
Ants and Bug's Life.
Right. Where it was almost like one of these two movies always gets lost in the shuffle because the zeitgeist was just kind of overwhelmed with or inundated with two of them at the same time. And I feel like A Time to Kill could be a victim of that with Primal Fear, which is totally
court case thing where the third act they find out a piece of evidence that switches the whole thing. Like you already knew what happened.
right.
Like Samuel Jackson's on case for killing two guys that raped his daughter, and they're trying to do the insanity plea to get him off. Not get him off, and so there's going to be no twist at all. I mean, I guess getting the Klan in there and stuff, and them trying to, it was all pretty predictable. The twist at the end was kind of the speech from McConaughey to try to sway the audience, think a different way.
This is one of those movies that it's not about the ending; it's about the journey throughout the whole movie. You know how it's going to end at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
And yet it's still such a great movie.
I just feel like I don't know why it's not talked about more.
Interesting to see how we talked about A Time to Kill versus Deadpool, and it's only one spot ahead of it on Netflix.
It's years away now, removed from the Jurassic Park conversation. We still don't forget what you said about Jurassic Park. I'll just say that.
Well, we can't. It's on, it's going to be on fucking YouTube. And
it's recorded, yeah. I'm not editing anything out of this. All right, good shit tonight, guys. Anything else before we let the people go for episode 200? Banner, we'll start with you.
Just remember, pull over for those emergency vehicles, guys. I don't think I've said it 200 times, maybe like 150.
Yeah.
So I'll keep saying it. You never know who's in the back of that ambulance, or maybe it's your house on fire that fire truck is going to. You never know.
You don't know. You might have left a candle on or something.
Yeah, just pull the fuck over.
Bitch. Cycly, how about you?
Usually I tell you to get out of the left lane because it's the passing lane and stop driving so slowly in it. But honestly, I want to ask, we've done 200 episodes. Are you someone who's listened to all 200? Because if you are, please seek professional help.
Yeah.
Because that would be really fun.
That's like
because none of us have even done that.
I was going to say, you've listened to 198 more than our wives have.
Yeah, we won't even be impressed. We'll be like, dude, just please stop listening to us.
Yes, no, this is a problem.
It's like the joke Matt made when we did our Batman and Robin movie commentary, and when he purchased it on Amazon, he got an email saying like, "Hey,
is everything okay at home?
Here's some mental health professionals in your neighborhood. If you
also bought a gun, a noose, and a chair.
You might also like." It's an odd combination. Matt, how about you? What do you want to leave the people with for episode?
I don't care how fashionable it gets. I'm never going to wear short shorts. I might show a little knee, but I'm not. They're like in now. I don't know why. I know Cycly likes to show a little ball, but I'm not.
I'm never going back to covering the knees. It's all thigh.
Yeah, mine go above the knee, but we're not talking like. I think for me, it just gives me better flexibility. I don't like when I sit down and like my shorts could get caught on my knees. Yeah.
I'm a in line with the top of my knee.
That's fine.
In line with the top of my knee.
But going where like your boxers would almost show underneath it, like, I mean, even it's weird. Like really muscular guys, I guess, like to do it. When I like to see some of the people I follow on like Instagram and shit to like show their quads. I guess that's cool.
Are
Whatever.
they saving money by buying less short?
No.
Yes.
So
And that's a debate.
I've crunched the numbers here. Here's your per inch of
I like the sweatpants without the elastic, and they don't even fucking make them anymore. I can't even find.
Jesus. Disgusting.
It's old now, I guess.
There's actually this like never mind, it's too boring to talk about, but there's this new material of clothing I've recently fallen in love with. It's all I'm asking for Christmases from now on. All right, well guys, thank you so much for being a part of this podcast for 200 episodes. Someone probably lost a bet once we hit this number, so hopefully they pay out. Before we let you go, obviously thank you so much for checking us out. The link below in the description, last chance to vote on the nominations for the 2022 Broskers Movie Awards, which that will actually be our next episode that we record. So get your votes in for the best and worst of 2022. As always, we appreciate any comments. You can find us on Twitter at Bro4Squad. Type in Bro Force Squad as 3 separate words on Letterboxd, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube will show up there, or just go to our website, bro4squad.com. Till next time, we'll see you for, I would say, another 200 episodes, but the world might just be over by then.
Hopefully.
Fun fact: Tom Hanks is up for 2 Razzies for Worst Actor and Worst Supporting Actor. Like, what a
Elvis is up for, and it's probably the favorite to win the Brosker for the 2 a.m. drunk text asking you up for movie most desperate for Oscar recognition.
it